Title: Bloodlight Guardian. Act I. Chapter 1, The Watcher in the Wind. She walked alone, unaware of the shadow that trailed her like a second heartbeat. Elena Ray moved through the crooked streets of Eldermere at midnight, as she always did on the 13th of every month. The moon hung low, bruised by clouds, and the wind teased the hem of her coat. Her boots clicked over stone. A leather journal was pressed tight against her chest, her thoughts locked inside like secrets the stars weren't meant to hear. She didn't know about him. Not truly. Not the figure watching from behind the cathedral's iron gate. Not the cold breath curling like smoke from lips that hadn't spoken a mortal word in centuries. His name was Lucien Vale, though even that had faded with time. Vampire, warrior, exile, he had worn many names, carried many sins. Yet none of them mattered more than her. The girl with fire in her blood and sorrow in her smile. He should have killed her the first time. He didn't. Now, he couldn't. Chapter 2, Blood and Memory. Lucien remembered the war. Not the current one, not yet. But the war that broke the house of Umbra into fragments. He had stood with kings and burned temples. He had tasted the blood of gods. And he had watched his kind descend into factions, madness, and eventually exile. The House of Thorn, once noble, now ruled by Victor Thorn, a vampire so cruel even the shadows whispered his name with dread. And they wanted Elena. Lucien didn't know why. Not yet. Only that her blood called to them. As it called to him. Not for hunger, not anymore. But for something deeper. A prophecy, perhaps. Or something more dangerous. Hope. Chapter 3, The Marked Girl. Elena noticed the mark on her wrist a week after her 22nd birthday. A crescent shape, faint as ash, glowing faintly beneath her skin in the dark. She thought it was stress. Or madness. Her dreams were changing, too, always the same eyes, pale blue like frost, watching her from a field of crimson. Then the whispers began. Voices outside her window. A shape on her roof. The feeling of breath against her neck while she tried to sleep. The sense that she was never, truly, alone. And then she met him. Lucien saved her from the first attack, a thorn vampire, feral and hungry. The creature had leapt from the shadows in an alley, talons bared. Elena had frozen. Lucien hadn't. His blade moved like moonlight, and the vampire turned to dust before it hit the ground. She saw him clearly then. Pale skin. Eyes like glacial flame. A presence both terrifying and tender. "You're not safe," he said, voice rough with centuries. "They know what you are." "What am I?" Lucien looked away. A reason to start a war. Chapter 4, Of Wolves and War. The vampires weren't the only ones who felt the coming storm. In the forest beyond Eldermere, the Varkai stirred. Werewolves once hunted to the brink of extinction had returned. Not wild beasts, but ancient guardians, bound by blood and code. Their leader, Alpha Kale, smelled the prophecy bleeding from the earth itself. Elena Ray was the fulcrum. A child born of light and shadow. Not fully human. Not yet divine. She would either break the curse of night or deepen its reach. And the Varkai would protect her. If the vampires didn't reach her first. Chapter 5, The Siege of Eldermere. The sky tore open the night the war began. Victor Thorn and his brood descended on Eldermere in silence and fire. Shadows flowed like rivers. Townspeople screamed as buildings burned. Elena ran, journal clutched in her arms, the mark on her wrist glowing like wildfire. Lucien found her at the cathedral steps. "We have to run. They're not here for the town. They're here for you. Then let's end this." From the hills, the howls began. The Varkai pack thundered down through the fog, teeth bared, eyes glowing. Kale led them, fur soaked in rain and blood. You kept her hidden well, Vale, he growled. Now let's see if you can keep her alive. Chapter 6, Bloodlight. The battle was chaos incarnate. Wolves against vampires. Claws against fangs. Magic against metal. Lucian fought like a myth reborn, his blades singing through air and bone. Cale ripped through the thorn line with the fury of a storm. Victor rose above it all, dark wings unfurling from his back. A shadow lord, no longer bound by blood. He reached for Elena with talons of flame. Lucian stepped between them. You'll take her over my ashes. Victor smiled. That can be arranged. Their blades met with a scream that shattered stained glass. Chapter 7, Dawn. Lucian bled, but he did not fall. Elena, clutching the journal, remembered a line she never wrote. A whisper placed there long ago. Speak the name of light, and night will fall to its knees. She did. And the sky burned. Victor screamed as the bloodlight surged from her palm, a sun born in shadow. The vampires turned to ash. The wolves howled in triumph. And Lucian collapsed. Chapter 8, Dreams Beneath Stone. Elena didn't cry when they entombed him beneath the cathedral. She didn't speak. Didn't sleep. Her hands shook when she wrote in her journal, now filled with memories she had never lived. Prophecies she had never read. Cale remained, silent and watchful. The Varkai did not return to the wild. Not yet. He sleeps for you, Cale said one night. But he won't sleep forever. Chapter 9, The Hollow Court. Far to the north, in a castle carved from obsidian and bone, the remnants of House Thorn gathered. Victor's fall had not ended their hunger. A new leader emerged, Lillian Thorn, Victor's daughter. Cold, calculating, and utterly devoted to finishing what her father began. The girl is the key, she whispered, eyes reflecting dying stars. And Vale's blood shall open the gate. ACT 2, Shadows in the Vein. Chapter 10, The Stirring Below. Lucian dreamed. Not of blood or death, but of her. Of Elena's hand in his, of warmth he had not known in centuries. Of a world without war. But beneath the cathedral, ancient magic pulsed. Every beat of Elena's heart echoed through the stone. Her presence stirred him. The crescent mark on her wrist burned hotter. Something within her soul had been awakened, and it called to him like a song. Chapter 11, The New Queen of Thorns. Lillian Thorn ruled the Hollow Court with whispers and steel. Unlike her father, she did not believe in brute force alone. She believed in rot. In poisoning the roots before the tree knew it was dying. She sent her emissaries, charmers, seducers, spies. They slithered into towns under false names. Into churches. Into the dreams of men and women alike. And one was already watching Elena. Chapter 12, The Silent Pact. Cale stood at the edge of the sleeping city, watching smoke rise from the forests where the Varkai hunted. She is not ready, he told the elder wolves. And he is not gone. But others disagreed. Some believed Elena should be taken away, hidden. Others wanted her used as bait. Cale alone remained her shield. But he knew Lillian would not wait long to strike. And the bloodlight within Elena was growing stronger, and more unpredictable. Chapter 13, When Stone Cracks. Elena returned to the cathedral again and again. She spoke to Lucian though he never answered. She read him pages from her journal. She told him stories. Sometimes she thought she saw his eyes twitch. Once, she swore his fingers moved. And then one night, he whispered her name. Faint. Barely a breath. But it was real. The stone above him cracked. The blood. ACT 3, Thrones of Ash and Flame. Chapter 16, The Gathering. Lucian stood beneath the night sky with Cale and the remaining Varkai elders. Flames from the signal pyres danced in their eyes. Vampires loyal to neither Umbra nor Thorn arrived from the forgotten corners of the world. Old blood, bitter blood, drawn by the whisper of Lucien's return. The Hollow Queen prepares for war, Cale growled. Then we meet her with fire, Lucien said. Chapter 17, The Song of Teeth. Elena's power continued to grow, and with it, visions. She saw Lillian walking through snow, her hands blood-stained. She saw a throne of bone. A city without sun. And she saw herself, crowned in bloodlight, surrounded by ash. Lucien noticed the change in her eyes. "You're becoming something else," he said. "So are you," she replied. Chapter 18, Betrayer's Blood. A traitor rose from within the ranks of the Varkai. An elder wolf, corrupted by Lillian's poison, led her forces through the outer hills. Villages were turned. Temples burned. Cale executed the traitor beneath the ancient trees, but the damage was done. The Hollow Queen had found a path to Eldermere. Lucien prepared the last defense. Chapter 19, The Ashen Veil. Lillian came not on wings, but on silence. Shadows coiled behind her. The blood of saints soaked her gown. She offered Elena a choice: surrender and save Lucien, or resist and see the world drown in eternal night. Elena answered not with words, but light. A beam of bloodlight shot from her hand, sundering the sky. Lillian screamed. And the final war began. Chapter 20, Thrones of Ash and Flame. Lucien and Lillian met in the burning ruins of Eldermere's cathedral. He bled from a dozen wounds. She wept black tears, her power unraveling. "You were my brother," she hissed. "You were my curse," he replied, and drove the blade of the Umbra deep into her chest. As she burned, the bloodlight engulfed the hollow court. The vampires who had followed her turned to dust. And the war was over. ACT 4, The Light That Remains. Chapter 21, Ashes and Bloom. The world was quiet again. Elena walked the fields where cities once stood. Flowers grew from blood-soaked earth. Children laughed again in the streets of Eldermere. But she no longer felt mortal. The bloodlight inside her had changed everything. Lucien, wounded but alive, stayed in the shadows. Watching. Waiting. Chapter 22, The Last Howl. Cale returned to the wild with his remaining wolves. "You are more than prophecy now," he told Elena before vanishing into the trees. "You are legacy." And then he was gone, a ghost of war. Chapter 23, A Promise in the Dark. Lucien and Elena stood atop the cathedral ruins. "You could turn me," she said. "And lose the light." "Never." He pressed his forehead to hers. "But I will remain. As long as you breathe. As long as the stars burn." Epilogue, The Light Eternal. Legends speak of a girl with fire in her blood and a vampire who loved her more than the night itself. They say she walks the world still, cloaked in starlight, writing the story of peace on pages the gods cannot burn. And in the wind, when the moon is high, the watchers say you can still hear him. A shadow not of fear, but of love. Lucien Vale. Her Bloodlight Guardian.